All right, thank you, sir, for that great introduction. Yeah, guys, today we're going to talk all about the initial EPIK documents you guys need and how to make everything perfect. I know you guys are really nervous and you don't want to do it wrong, right? Because it takes so long to get these documents. So, anyways, we're going to run through today kind of a little bit fast because we want to leave enough time for you guys to ask all the questions you have. I know it's really important, and don't be afraid to ask questions because probably a lot of other people have the same one, okay? So let's jump right in. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. In this webinar, we aim to clear up any confusion you guys might have regarding any of the documents. We're going to tell you how to submit the files, the format, and the method for submitting. We're going to answer your guys' questions, okay? So, as you guys know, these are the documents you guys need for your initial document set that you're going to be mailing to Korvia. You're going to need a completed EPIK application, all filled out and all nice and ready to go. You're going to need to have a personal essay, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, your sample lesson plan, and letters of recommendation too, I believe. Okay? So first, let's talk about the EPIK application. I know this is like one of the longest applications you guys have probably ever, filling out. So it can be a little bit confusing. We're not going to look at everything because that would just take weeks, if not a month, for me to explain every single thing. It's mostly basic information, but there are a couple things that people often get confused about. The first one being is the photo. Um, Actually, I was a teacher once too, and I applied through Korvia. And 2 years ago, I sent this photo as my passport photo, and they said no. I said, why? And they said, you're not looking directly at the camera, and it's in black and white. It's that stylized. So I said, okay. So I tried again, and I'm sure many of you guys have a photo like this. It's from Facebook, right? You just ripped one from your profile pictures. And this one's not accepted either because I'm making a weird face, as you can see, and also the background is a little bit too cluttered. It's a little distracting, okay? But it was in color, so I was happy. Third one, I thought it was great. I don't look too stupid, right? I have a kind of a smile, and I'm looking at the camera, and they said your whole head is not in the frame, so that's not acceptable either. So finally, I went back to the drawing board and I spit out this, and this is the perfect example of a photo. Maybe don't smile as stupidly as I do, but uh, in front of a white background, a plain background, looking at the camera, and give them a smile, okay? Some sort of a smile. And so you guys might be wondering, how can I get this, and how would I get a photo like this taken? And I need to introduce you guys www.epassportphoto.com. I use this, and a lot of other teachers I've met have used this too. It's a free service, and what you do is you have a friend, or if you have an automatic timer on your camera, you can set it to take a picture of yourself in front of a white background, say a white wall in your house, or you can just hang a sheet with some thumbtacks for a couple minutes. And what you do is then you have unlimited tries to get a good smile or the face you want instead of only getting one chance in a studio or something like that. So what you do is you have the photo taken of you, then you upload it to this site, and it will automatically resize the picture to the exact specifications for official passport photos, which was a square frame. And then what it does is it lets you download that file back out and saves it as a JPEG, which has about 6 of the same photo repeated. And what you do is you take that to a pharmacy or a drugstore. They all have those photo machines usually, and you print it there on official photo paper. It's nice and glossy, and it's really great, and it's really cheap. When I took original passport photos, I went to Walgreens in the United States, and they quoted me about $20, and I'd only get 2 photos. This you can get 6 for about $1.50, maybe even $2. And trust me, you guys need a lot of these. Don't just try to get 2, because in Korea, when you're applying for different stuff, a lot of times they ask for these photos to attach to applications, okay? So anyways, remember, www.epassportphoto.com. They have a nice video tutorial on there too. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to post that into the application through Microsoft Word. Okay, so we're going to talk about these sections next really quickly. 5, the interview contact information, the current and previous residences, and educational background and your GPA. So if you guys have your application in front of you, now would be a great time to whip it out. If not, just follow along. Okay. So the first thing, number 5, the interview contact information. One thing people do a lot is they leave out a secondary phone. If you have a landline in your house, your family's house, please put that down as your secondary phone. If you don't, it's okay, you can leave it blank, but EPIK really prefers a secondary phone, okay? And this is to get a hold of you in case there's they need to change the interview time. And as you can see below, it says interviews are scheduled according to Korean Standard Time. Remember, this trips a lot of people up. You got to think that any date that EPIK is going to give you or any time, it's going to be in Korean Standard Time, not yours, okay? Don't write for your availability. If you look at it, it says start times are available Monday to Friday, 9:20 to 11 and 13:20 to 17. So don't just write, oh, I'm free that whole entire day. I'll just put 9 to 5. Don't do that. It doesn't look that great to them. So choose one of those blocks, either the 9:20 to 11 or the 13:20 to 5, okay? So you can write that down. Like I said, don't schedule the whole day. It just looks kind of not good. So choose one of those blocks. And by the way, if you guys are going, Korvia highly recommends that you halt all travel for this month that these interviews happen. But if it's absolutely impossible for you to change a plan regarding a vacation or a trip, you can list also the dates you will be available or the time you won't be available, okay? And EPIK will do their best to accommodate, okay? Going on to 6, current and previous residences. A lot of people, they don't follow directions. You definitely want to use the 2-digit format for when you give the dates. So if today is March 14th, I believe, so you would put 0314, not 314 or 03-2014. It really trips them up and they don't really like it. So make sure you only use the 2-digit system. And finally, for educational background, a lot of people haven't graduated yet and they want to know, well, what do I put for my GPA because I don't have the final one yet. You can put, if you can get unofficial transcripts, either from an online source if your school has that kind of a site for students, or you can go to your office, the official office, I guess it would be admissions office maybe, registration office. You can get your current GPA and you can put it down here. Then when you graduate, you'll need to submit your new GPA and your official transcripts. Your new official transcripts. Actually, you'll need 2 sets of transcripts if you haven't graduated. Your transcripts now before you graduate, and then the ones again when you do graduate, okay? And let's go on to salary levels, joint applicants, and placement preference, sections 11, 12, and 13. Okay, so a lot of you guys are confused about the salary level. Like, I haven't graduated yet, so what do I put? What's my current qualification? If you haven't graduated yet, put it as level 3, the current qualification and expected qualification, okay? You guys can find this pay scale on the EPIK website as well. I don't want to go over all of it because it takes a long time and it's very specific. But if you check that out, you should be able to get it. If you do have more questions about that, just ask your recruiter. They'll be happy to tell you what your current qualification and expected qualification level is. And the next thing is, it's kind of a secret. Don't tell anyone. But while EPIK does not require TEFL for submitting the application, once you do get placed or once you pass the interview, EPIK actually does require you to take a TEFL course. There's no choice. They force you to do it. So I would recommend getting enrolled in a TEFL online course right now if you can, 100 hours, 120 hours. It's very first of all, it's very beneficial. You'll learn a good amount that will make you more confident, but also, like I said, it's required. So make sure you get enrolled in that and contact your recruiter because Korvia does have a special partnership with one of the TEFL providers, and they can hook you up with a discount or something like that. And finally, for number 12, joint applicant. You might think, my boyfriend and me are coming, my girlfriend and me are coming, or my friends. What do I do? Can I put joint applicant section? You can't. Joint applicant starting now is only for married couples, okay? And you have to prove that later by, if you put it here, you have to provide your marriage certificate later, okay? So only for married couples. But for other relationships, there is in the additional personal information section, article number 8, they do allow you to put, if you have a friend or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you can list them there and they will try their best to accommodate for that, okay? It's not promised, but at least you can get out there and maybe you guys will be in the same province or the same city, okay? Yeah, married couples only. And number 13, placement preference. Our biggest tip for this is you got to be flexible. We'll be honest, a lot of people, they just want Seoul because they don't really know about the other places, Seoul, Busan, and Jeju Island. But the thing is, because those places are so competitive, you only get one choice to put as your preferred location. So if Seoul's full, you don't get Seoul, they're going to randomly place you. So I highly recommend that you do some research on the other cities. Actually, I believe Korvia sent out last week a newsletter with helpful links about all those cities. And coming up, there's going to be a Korvia video where we're going to show visually some of the locations, okay? And one more thing. I know you guys are worried. You guys maybe think this is what I initially thought too. They're saying Seoul is the only thing that looks like a city, the only metropolitan area in Korea. It's not true. When I'm from a relatively small town in California, and when I came here, even the rural towns, they have bigger buildings than I've ever seen in my life. I live in a small suburb now outside of Seoul, and it looks, when my friends come to visit, they're like, this looks like New York City. Korea's a very small country, so populations are very dense, so they have to accommodate that by building a lot of stuff to service those people. Pyeonwoojeons, what convenience stores, supermarkets, and really high apartment buildings. Okay, so don't worry, you're not going to be put out in a farm field or something like that. So be flexible. Okay, so now let's move on to the personal essay and let's look at the key points. It's got to be 500 to 800 words, 2 pages maximum. Anything under or over, it won't be accepted. If you're confused about a font, it seems like the new font this decade, these days, is 11, whereas when I think we grew up, it was 12, right? In Times New Roman. But now they allow, do it with the Times New Roman, Arial, or Calibri font. Those are the standard, clearest looking fonts. And then what are you going to write on? Make it 5 paragraphs. Your introduction, your conclusion, and in the middle, you're going to first describe why you want to teach in Korea. What do you like about Korea? Why do you want to come here? Number 2, describe your philosophy on teaching. What's the best method? Do you believe it's going to be through application of it, or just memorization, or drilling, all that stuff? And number 3, describe your thoughts on encountering cultural differences. How should a person deal with living in a different culture than their own? A lot of people have problems adapting. So you please write about how you think you'll be able to handle it, or what your strategy is for encountering. Okay, and that should be under 2 pages, 2 pages maximum. Okay. Now let's talk about the lesson plan. First, you need to choose a grade level. What are you strongest in? Do you think it should be an elementary lesson, a middle school lesson, or high school? It's completely up to you. You have the freedom there. In Korea, elementary is grades 1 through 6, middle school is 7 through 9, and high school is 10 through 12. And I know you guys might be wondering, well, what are they learning in each of those grades? I was an elementary school teacher, so I can't vouch for middle or high school, but you can do more research on the internet and surely find it. But in 4th grade, it was very simple sentences where they have one variable word. So the sentence might be, I like hot dogs. I like kimchi. I like, hamburgers. Then in 5th grade, it got a little more difficult, where there'd be a couple more variables in there and maybe split into 2 sentences. So I remember the biggest lesson in 5th grade was, this is the bathroom. There is a sink. This is the bedroom. There is a bed. And they can switch out bedroom, bed, for different things, right? So you're teaching them that they can change stuff up, and kind of change the meaning. And finally, in sixth grade is a big jump from fifth grade and fourth grade into where it's like free writing almost, that they're finally starting to take all the stuff they've learned and make their own sentences. And sixth grade is a lot of fun because the students, they come up with some funny stuff sometimes. So anyways, yeah, pick a grade and do a lesson according to that age level. Also, you should create supplemental material. You don't have to, but you can, and you can do this with PowerPoint or Worksheet Maker. What you do, though, is this whole thing, if you look to the right, it has to be 2 to 5 pages in length, and that includes your supplemental material. So if you made a little short PowerPoint presentation or something like that to help them, use language, what you do is you render it out as a JPEG, as image files, and then you paste them into the Word document on one page. So you can have 3 slides or 2 slides, so the person correcting the application can read it. Okay? And a big point of this also, besides the 2 to 5 pages in length, you definitely need to focus on the lesson plan itself. Don't worry about making the best game ever or the prettiest, awesomest picture ever. Focus on the lesson plan. A good lesson plan will speak for itself, and it should help the person reading it visualize it in their head. Okay, that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for the greatest picture. They're looking for the best lesson plan. And finally, concentrate on conversation and speaking. That's the main goal of English teachers here is, Koreans can learn grammar and all that stuff through books and through other ways, but really the job of a native English teacher here is to focus on them, getting them to speak and perfecting their speech, okay? So don't do so much on grammar, try to do it more on conversation and speaking. Okay, and then finally is letters of recommendation, and we're going to look at an excellent example of a letter of recommendation. This is from a upcoming university called Korvia University. It's due to take over. It's due to take Harvard over soon. So yeah, it's awesome. So anyways, we made this up, but this is the format that a letter of recommendation should take. Okay, so let's look at what it includes. Check. It's got letterhead. Letterhead is the official paper that the organization, school, or company uses to print their official documents on. It's got to be on that. There is an option we'll talk about later. It needs to have a date, and the date, it cannot be 2 years. From that date, it can't be more than 2 years old. So, for example, today is, let's say it's today, August 26, 2014. It can't be older than August, 26, 2012. So make sure if it's older than that, you can't use it. Okay, so it's got to be within the last 2 years. It's also got an ink signature that is really, really important. A lot of people might even have those Wacom tablets and they want to do it digitally, put in their ink signature digitally. Can't do that. It's got to be an actual with ink pen signature. Okay. Also, it's got the title position of the person. What did they do? And it's got their contact email and phone number, okay? Because EPIK is going to check with them and call them up, okay? To verify that they did write you a letter of recommendation. So, if they won't print on their letterhead, my school had a really big problem with that because I was a part-time person and they didn't, I worked at the school part-time and they would only do that for full-time people. So we had a problem, but EPIK does permit a business card of the writer to be included in the scan. So if you can't get letterhead, get their business card and put it on top of the paper when you scan it. Make sure it's not blocking anything, in a good white space, and it'll be okay. It'll be a good substitute that they will allow. Okay. And so finally, let's go over the EPIK timeline. So, you ever see those maps in malls where it says, you are here? We're at the very beginning stages. We're at the application process, and we're doing the initial documents, okay? That's needed to get an interview with EPIK. Next is going to be, if everything checks out, it's going to be your interview. That's going to be between mid-April, mid-May. Then after your interview, you'll get your interview results and see if you passed or not. If you do pass, you're going to have your final document submission. That's the FBI background check and your apostilled diploma and all that stuff. That's going to be late April to June. Then you will finally get placed at the end of May or to end of June. Then they will send you your NOA, your notice of appointment, which will allow you to get your visa at your local Korean consulate. And then finally, you get to depart to South Korea, and that will be in mid-August when the weather is going to be very nice. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. As we go through more webinars in the future, we're going to make sure you guys know what stage you guys are in. Okay.